Hello, everyone. Today is 20th of February, 2023. My name is Alexander Nenkov. I'm a ruling reality coach, and I'm continuing my series, Daily Reality with Alex. As you know, during the 2023, I am trying on a daily basis to express myself in order more of you to understand how I'm ruling my own personal reality, why I'm doing the things that I'm doing, and why it looks like that it is so effortless, the things that I'm doing, but it is impossible to do all of these things without understanding how the construct of reality is working and why it's not possible reality to work any other different way, though we the human beings are really strongly willing to find other ways and hacking the way everything is constructed. And on the 23rd of February, in some days that are coming, it will be Thursday from 21 o'clock UK time, I'm going to be live and I'm going to have a webinar, how to rule in the construct of reality. First, we are to grasp how reality works, and then we are to understand how we, the human beings, are ruling. And this webinar is going to be very interesting to those that haven't attended it. And also, I'm going to give away 10 free ruling reality basic programs. In this 1-month program, I'm explaining, and through 6 Zoom calls, I'm willing to express how I'm doing different things in order to position myself as ruler of my own personal reality. But let's start today with my new topic, the inversed reality. It is something that I have found out myself, and I don't know why nobody, or at least I don't know which are the ones that are speaking about this. But since I am a Christian, and when I look into the human and personal development business, I'm constantly asking myself questions, and I'm comparing everything that is proposed to me through the human design, through the personal development, through all the new movements, and what actually is written in the ancient books, and what are the differences. And I'm constantly asking questions, and now I'm going to tell you what I have really found that is interesting about reality. And this is why I positioned myself as a ruling reality coach, because I'm interested not in the effects. I'm not interested in finding out ways that I'm going to train people about achieving new skills, about solving some small specific situation in their personal realities. No, I am passionate about the positioning, because once we are positioned, all other small issues that we think are the biggest problem of our experience are able to be dissolved. And now let's start today's topic about the inverse reality. While I was doing auditings and evaluations of the way we, the human beings, are using our intent and are trying to live by and to express ourselves into the reality, I found very interesting phenomena. One of the phenomena is that we never received directly what we want. And the second thing is that we usually are receiving the opposite of what we want, especially if we strongly are holding to the end result. And do you know what is the definition of curse? All of us can search it in Wikipedia, because I haven't, but I'm going to tell you what in general for me is a curse. A curse is when my authentic desires, when my authentic intent is not possible to manifest, but actually even in my personal reality, I am receiving the opposite of what I want. And when we go in the ancient books, if we go in the book of Genesis, where were spelled and expressed the first curses, when the human being sinned, in this storytelling, it is said that the woman was cursed, that her labor is going to be hard. The man was cursed that he is going to put and sweat with a lot of efforts in order to manifest on the earth everything that he wants. Then there was curse upon the snake. And later on, when the first killing recorded in the history of humanity, which was a religious killing, which was after there were rituals made for the gods, and Cain, the first killer, killed Abel, then the earth was also cursed. And let me now tell you something which looks like a little bit esoteric, but it is something that I'm thinking upon. When the commandments and the general directions of what we are were given and were written in these ancient books, one of the things that were said about the human beings that we are to multiply, to replenish the earth, and to subdue it. If we can paraphrase the earth, it is not only the land, it is everything material, and this we are doing very good. We are trying and constantly are managing the material world. The material world is something that we are constantly working with. We are able to transmute it. We are able to use the materials to rebuild, to reshape by using the material world. But there is also a deeper meaning where we are to learn ourselves how, by our inner energy, to subdue the physical matter reality. It is something different, but then because of this reverse reality, because of the curses that appeared, it happens so that in the curse of Cain, it was said that the earth is not anymore going to give you freely its yield. And then when we go to today, when we go to the 2023, when we are using intent and we are saying, okay, I just want so much something good. And then what happens is that usually it is not coming to us. And when I was doing my audits of the values and what I want and what are my towards values and so on and so on, and when I was making this human beliefs reevaluation, there are so many exercises in the personal development and a lot of programs about redesigning and so on of the human behaviors, and it's knowledge which is interesting to work with, but then it's very much more interesting to ask the deeper questions. Why exactly we, the human beings, are always choosing the good things? Why we are pursuing and moving always towards the heroes? Why we are 100% attached towards love, peace, joy, truth, and so many beautiful things that we are constantly seeking to find. And the problem about all of these beautiful values is that it is impossible to reach them directly. Of course, all of us want to be rich, we want to be prosperous, we want to be abundant, we want to be wealthy, and so on and so on. And this is a dream about all of us, where we have an abundance in the material experience so that we can consume or use whatever, whenever we want. And this has been a dream for the human being for ages. Why we are not receiving this? Because of the way the reverse and the inverse reality works. And it works so not because fundamentally and initially it was created to be so, but since we as the human being are to understand that there are now different approaches to reality, This is how we are to understand everything. And let me start with my biggest and the most important value as a human being. And my most important and my most dear value that I'm living for, I'm dying for, and I'm doing everything possible to achieve it, is actually perceived by most human beings as negative value. Why I have chosen the negative thing to be my biggest value. And this is something that I'm learning for, and I'm going to share it now with you. So my most precious value from which and through which my life is guided is called the fear of God. But Alex, fear is something negative. Why have you chosen to be afraid of? Why this is not a value? This is something you are to move away. You are to seek love. You are to seek the bonding of God. Seek the love of God. Seek something else positive about God. But why are you choosing actually the fear of God? And why in the ancient book it is said that the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. And what is wisdom? Just imagine knowledge, how it is created in all of us. There are so many blank dots, and we are constantly receiving the knowledge partially, and we are to connect the dots all the time. And this is what our mind is doing on a constant base by the prediction and by the perception of the reality. Because we are to acknowledge that we don't know, and that we are not supposed to know, but we are constantly connecting the dots. And in the ancient books, it's written that the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. And I was reflecting upon this because I'm a Christian and I'm a religious person, and this is deep inside of me, and I can never choose a different value than the core value of being in reverence and being of awe of my Creator. But this is not the most important thing, because a lot of you can ignore it and say, okay, Alex, you're religious, you can do this, it's okay for me, but I'm not religious and I'm going to do it differently, and I'm going to choose you, that I'm much more right. Because of the law of attraction, we are to attract to ourselves only the positive. But maybe there is an existence of the inverse reality, where what we are afraid of comes to us. And that's why I'm afraid of God. And this helps me to actually, paradoxically, become more close, to search more of Him, to go into the beyond, and to ask always to know the Creator. After this, I have observed in my reality that I'm constantly afraid of success. And what happens is that success is constantly more and more coming to me because of my afraidness of success. Actually, what is happening with me, that I'm constantly preparing myself for more of and more of me, because yes, I'm in a preparation mode for my worst possible nightmares, which are actually the good things. So what I have done in my reality, I have inversed, I have reversed my heroes and my villains. For me, the villains are the so-called positive things that all of us, the human beings, are desiring. To have a good life, to have comfort, to be in a state where everything is beautiful, is something that I have decided to not be my towards to values, because they are creating imprisonments for me. for me towards values are hardships, are obstacles, are challenges, because they are the ones that are creating in me all the growth processes that are able to purify me and to express a much more pure being out of me and more authentic being out of me. So actually, my viewings have become all the beautiful and wonderful things that the humanity has always strived towards. And basically, when I was reflecting about the light and why we, the human beings, so much are attracted to light and we want light and we are constantly having light as towards to value, I started asking myself, based on this reverse psychology, based on this reversed reality, based on this that reality is cursed, I asked myself, wow, actually, I need to deep dive into the darkness. Why nobody is willing to absorb the darkness? Why we are actually not afraid from the light that is shining in the material world towards us? And why we are not willing to dip into the darkness of our inner being, in our shadows, in our reality? And this darkness is everywhere, but we are not willing to absorb it. We are not willing to be close to it. And what usually happens is that if we learn that actually once and more we are able to understand the shadows, to understand the darkness, to understand what we are afraid of, the more light is going to come in our being. So if I'm attracted to light, based on the way that the reverse reality is working, I'm going to have more darkness in my reality. But if I'm not afraid of the darkness, and I'm ready to go as deep as possible into it, then more light and more deep light is going to shine into this darkness, and I'm going to understand and being able to express it, because only a person who really strongly and deeply understand how much darkness there is in our fake expressions and reality, how much sorrow is out there, how much pain is in our hearts. Only then we are to appreciate the light. But if we are directly trying to move towards our light without dealing and understanding and know what to do with the darkness, then this light is not going to give us any good. And I'm going to give you now one more example of how light and darkness are working. The problem with the human being is that we were created living beings, and immediately, because of our egoistic expressions, we are wanting to consume life. We are willing to absorb reality. But the purpose of reality was not to absorb it. The purpose of life was not to consume it. And the purpose of light is not to absorb it. You can see in nature everywhere that the purpose of light, and light only exists if it's reflected. Darkness is consuming light constantly. If you ask, and if we ask ourselves, why are we so willingly wanting all the good things? Because we want to consume them. Why do we want light? Because we want to consume it. So what are we doing? We are creating more and more darkness inside of us. And then this is what we are expressing. Once we move towards the darkness, and paradoxically start to absorb it, start to accept it, start to understand that everything negative is anyhow out there, then we are going to find and start reflecting the light because we see the preciousness in it. And it is happening with everything. We want money to consume. We want wealth to consume. We want goodness in order to consume it. We want happiness in order to consume it. We want joy in order to consume it. But once we turn towards the pain that we don't want to consume, we start to understand the transmuting power of joy, for example, and then we turn towards reality and we are starting to reflect the joy. We are starting to reflect the truth because we understand how much passion, how much care is behind the transmuting process when we see darkness turned into light, when we see pain turned into joy, and so on and so on. And then the real transformational processes starts to work in our reality because we understand that we always receive the opposite of what we want in this inverse and cursed reality. So the more and more rich I become, the more and more I am to understand poorness, because only the poor in heart are going to be filled. And if we understand that we are all the same, and the only thing we are doing in reality is to learn to work with the materials that are out there, and in order to subdue the earth, we are to learn how to work with all the negatives. And there are not so many personal development courses, there are not so many human design programs that are going to teach us how much darkness there is in all of us, and how much of this darkness we are constantly expressing, and how much destructional power there is hidden in the human being. If you think and if you try to reflect, all the distractions that we are constantly created are made in the name of the good. All the wars that we are doing in the name of the future, more humanious, more beautiful worlds. The peacemakers of today are the ones that are the most armed and are ready and actively doing wars all over the world. And we are constantly receiving this inverse reality. We are constantly, through the physical matter reality, receiving the opposite of what we actually want, because we think that what we are receiving from the physical matter reality is constantly doing things against us. And then when we go into this vortex of asking for more of money, more of joy, more of peace, more of happiness, more of everything for ourselves, of course, we are more and more going to experience the void. We are more and more going to experience the emptiness. And we are actually, by striving towards the positive, experiencing more and more negatives in our life. And I don't know why, if it's by chance or not, but I remember when I started to wish for myself to start understanding everything which the human beings are labeling as negative, and to start opening myself to all of the reality, because we are never going to express ourselves as light beings if we don't understand the purpose and meaning of our transformation. And it is only possible to live and to experience goodness, joy, everything positive only if we are not keeping it for ourselves, but we are constantly reflecting it forward towards all the other beings. This is the purpose of the human being, from a living being to be transformed into a life-giving spirit. Does it mean that we are the source of life? No, but we are coming to the existence of don't wanting anymore to be consumers, but to be generators, to be reflectors, to be shining and radiant beings of life. And this is how I'm working with my thinking now. And this is why I'm willing to have, and I'm open to have more and more. For example, money and wealth and abundance. But I know that in order to have all of these things, I'm to turn towards more and more suffering, more and more sacrifice, more and more understanding the pain, more and more negative and deep, dark experiences in my soul, in order all of these things to become rewards and enjoyments, but not for me, for all the other beings. So little by little, I'm understanding that all the beautiful things of humanity are not created for me. What is for me, and this is why when I'm speaking with the law of attraction people and they don't understand me, when I'm telling them that me as a physical being, I don't want money. I'm not after the material things. But oh boy, ask me. I'm so much after the invisible. I so much want to consume everything that is immaterial, everything that is causing the material to appear. And that's why paradoxically, more and more I focus my mind on the things that are not visible, on the things that are part of the realm of causality. More and more my effortless living in the physical matter reality and the realm of effects is happening. And it's a very big paradox, because more and more busy I am in the physical matter reality, and more activities and projects I'm having there, I actually have much more time for the invisible, for the hidden, for the inner being, for understanding who I am and why I am and where I am, and so on and so on. And then it happens so that actually my soul is more and more willingly suffering, willingly understanding and experiencing more deep pain, in order in the world of effects, more and more beautiful things that are created from my ecosystem to be as rewards to the beings that are around me. So this was a very small expressions of the way I'm exploring the reverse reality, and why this is the only way everything beautiful is able to appear in our external reality. Once we counterbalance it with understanding all the darkness and all the probabilities and all the possibilities for all of us to be also 100% distractional. when we are praising the human beings, when we are so strongly backing humanity and everything that the human being is striving for, we are not to forget that we are 100% also possible to exploit, distract, create immense pain, and obliterate everything out of existence. It is part of our potentials. So in everything that we are as humanity striving to do, always observe, always consider, and always see how the more comfort we are creating in society, we are destroying ourselves. How, as more beauty external we are trying to surround with, the more our heart is becoming closed, and we are starting to live more and more boring, meaningless, and purposeless lives, generation after generation, as more good and beautiful surroundings we are creating for ourselves. And then, of course, because we become addicted to this type of reality, we are willing and able to kill for it in order to protect it. And I can give you hundreds of thousands of examples of how we, the human beings, are not willing to let go, and how we are attached like narcotics, like drugs, towards the good that is feeding us and our ego, and how we are not willing to go into the darkness and into the negative, and again to start experiencing what is the human beings to experience. So this is all for today. Know reality and always ask questions, and of course use as much as possible the reverse psychology, because there is purpose behind it. And remember, nothing in reality comes directly. Usually everything that we are striving to achieve comes when we take the opposite way, when we turn back to our goals and start digging into the opposite things that we are trying to flee away, to move away, and to run away. And we go to the positive things that we are trying to hide behind. So thank you for watching. Enjoy your reality. Don't worry. Yes, reality is reversed, but there are the solutions. There are the options. We are provided everything, and nothing more is required from us, but just to be rightly positioned into understanding reality. Bye-bye. Enjoy your reality.